Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about time, specifically why your brain seems to have absolutely no idea what time it is, how long things take, or where the last 3 hours went. And I want to start by saying this up front. If you've struggled with your entire life with time, you're not lazy, you're not irresponsible, and you're not bad at adulting. Your brain is genuinely wired differently when it comes to time perception, and once you understand why, the whole thing starts to make a lot more sense. And that's what we're talking about today. If you don't know me, I am Shannon Schroeder. I am the F-Bomb coach, and I help ADHD businesswomen build sustainable systems for their businesses and their lives. Before we get into the science, I want to acknowledge something. If you're watching this, you've probably tried all of the standard advice. You've set the alarms, you've bought the planners, you've made the color-coded Google Calendar that looked beautiful on Sunday and was completely abandoned by Tuesday or Wednesday. And every time it doesn't work, there's a voice that says, maybe the problem is just you. We all know that nasty little voice in the back of our heads, right? It's not. The advice is built for a brain that experiences time in ways that yours doesn't. And that's the actual problem we're going to start working on today. This is one of the most clarifying things I've ever come across when I'm working with neurodivergent people. Researcher and clinician Dr. Russell Barkley describes it this way. Most people experience time as a continuous timeline. Past, present, future, just on one long line. The past informs the present, the future feels real and close enough to plan for. Like you could see it, it's there. But for many neurodivergent brains, time is essentially only two categories, now and not now. That meeting at 3 p.m., not now. That deadline on Friday, not now. Your kid's recital that starts in 20 minutes, also not now. Until it's very, very now because you're running late. This isn't a mindset issue. It's a neurological one, and it explains a lot about how you experience time and how you handle time. So what's actually going on under the hood? Time perception relies heavily on working memory, your brain's ability to hold information and use it in real time. It also depends on a consistent internal clock, the neurological system that tracks the passage of time automatically, like neurotypical brains do. In ADHD and other neurodivergent brains, both of these systems work differently. Working memory is less consistent. The internal clock is less reliable. When you add in dopamine regulation into that mix, because dopamine plays a huge role in motivation and time-sensitive behavior, you've got a brain that genuinely cannot feel time passing the way other brains can. It's not guessing badly on purpose. It's working with an unreliable instrument. In everyday life, time blindness looks like running late to everything, even when you genuinely tried. But in your business, it has some very specific and very expensive manifestations. You say yes to a project that will take 10 hours because it feels manageable, and then it takes 10 hours in a single week that you didn't have. You schedule 4 client calls on a Tuesday because each one is only an hour, and somehow you don't account for the transitions, the prep, the debrief, or the fact that your brain will be completely fried by 2 p.m. You blow past self-imposed deadlines, not because you didn't care, but because Friday genuinely didn't feel like it was coming that fast. These are predictable outcomes of a brain that struggles to feel time. And this is the part I really want you to sit with. The reason just try harder doesn't work is that trying harder is itself a cognitive task. It requires working memory, sustained attention, and the ability to hold your future self's needs in mind while your present self is doing something else. For a brain where those systems are already less reliable, discipline is one of the first things that drops when stress, fatigue, or distraction shows up. Which means the whole model of, I just need more self-control about time, is built on a foundation that isn't going to hold. We need external systems, not internal ones. And that's not a weakness. It's just accurate problem solving. You are giving yourself the systems and supports that you need. So this is where we start to get practical. The fix has to be external. If the problem is that your brain can't reliably feel or track time internally, then the solution is to stop trying to rely on internal tracking and move time outside of your head. This is called externalization, and it's the backbone of every time management strategy that really works for neurodivergent brains. The goal is to make time something you can see, feel, or hear, not something you have to remember or estimate. So we're going to talk about 3 ways to do this. So strategy 1, make time visible. Digital clocks tell you what time it is. Visual timers show you how much time is left. And that distinction matters enormously for a brain that struggles with time perception. A time timer, which is a physical clock or an app-based timer that shows a shrinking red disc. It may have other colors, but you can actually see time passing. It gives your brain a visual representation of time moving. Instead of abstractly knowing you have 45 minutes, you can see 45 minutes getting smaller and smaller in real time. That visual cue activates a different kind of awareness. Similarly, writing your day on a whiteboard and keeping it in your physical line of sight means you don't have to hold the plan in your head. It's already out there, doing your remembering for you. Strategy 2, make time audible. Most people set alarms for when something starts. But for a brain that struggles with transitions and time blindness, the most useful alarm is the one that rings not before the thing starts, not when the thing begins. So a 10-minute warning gives your brain time to shift gears, wrap up what you're doing, and actually get to the next thing on time. And it's important to label your alarms too, not just 2 p.m., but wrap up and prep for client calls so that you know what that alarm is for. The label does the cognitive work so that your brain doesn't have to. You're not relying on remembering context. The alarm tells you everything you need to know. And I'd also say that depending on the task, making different sounds for different things. Don't use the same alarm sound that you use to wake up in the morning that you do for transitions. Your brain's going to start to ignore it. Strategy 3. There's something powerful about making your schedule physical rather than just digital. Some of my clients use sticky notes on a wall. 1 task per note, and then they physically remove them as the day progresses. Others use index cards that they can hold and rearrange. The act of touching something, moving it, crossing it off in pen rather than clicking a checkbox engages the brain differently. And it makes the passage of time and progress feel more concrete. Body doubling is also in this category. Working alongside another person, whether in person or even virtually, creates an external anchor for your attention and makes time feel more present and accountable. Your brain responds to other humans and being there, so use that. So here's a quick recap. We're going to pull it all together. Time blindness is not about caring or not caring. It's not about how smart you are or how much you want to succeed. It's a neurological difference in how your brain perceives and tracks time, and it has real consequences in your business when you don't have systems built around it. The 3 strategies that we just talked about, making time visible, audible, and physical, are about taking the job away from your unreliable internal clock and giving it to something outside your brain that can do it better. Start with 1. Pick the one that feels the most doable and try it this week. And that is your goal for this week, your one thing to do. Pick 1 externalization strategy and try it for 5 days. A visual timer, label transition alarms, physical task cards, whatever your brain said, oh, I like that. Do that one. And then notice what changes throughout the week. I'll see you in the next video.